talk about the No Child Left Behind Act. The No Child Left Behind Act was signed on January 8, 2002. The No Child Left Behind Act was the product of a collaboration between civil rights and business groups, as well as both Democrats and Republicans on Capitol Hill. The act required states to develop assessments and basic skills to receive federal school funding. States had to give these assessments to all students at their grade levels. The goal was to close achievement gaps between poor and minority students and their more advantaged peers. To give you a little history, in 1965, Lyndon Johnson signed the Elementary and Secondary Education Act, which enacted as part of his war on poverty, and it was designed to focus federal funding on poor schools with low achieving students. So this is kind of where it stemmed from. The No Child Left Behind Act grew out of concern that American education system was no longer internationally competitive. It increased the federal role in holding schools responsible for academic progress of all students. States that did not comply with the new requirements, they did not have to comply with the new requirements. However, they risked losing federal Title I money. They wanted to ensure that states and schools boost the performance of certain groups of students, such as English language learners, students in special education, and poor and minority children whose achievement on average trailed behind their peers. Since 2002, the No Child Left Behind Act has had a great impact on teaching and learning and school improvement. It has become increasingly controversial with educators and the general public. So now what I'll do is share with you the weaknesses and strengths of the No Child Left Behind Act. So I think the top 5 strengths are very important, I think. It added structure to educational programs nationwide, for one. 2, resource identification became easier for students, so it was easier to see who needed the help. Socioeconomic gaps had less influence with the legislation. And it also held teachers and administrators accountable for student performance. And most of all, it gave parents a better understanding of their schooling options for their children. As for weaknesses, the No Child Left Behind Act changed the goal of learning, so it was more like teaching for the test type of thing. Second, more schools tied student performance to teacher salary. So, if the students didn't do well, then the teachers were scored badly. Third, school funding was driven into test-related subjects, meaning they didn't really do much for the arts and the music and allow the kids to be creative. The money went more towards, of course, reading and writing, math, and things like that. Fourth, it never really addressed the core issues behind poor student learning. I mean, you have abuse, things going on at home, parent incarceration, drugs, abuse. A lot of things play into why kids struggle with learning. And then lastly, the students with the worst grades in the classroom were often discarded because they were often looked at as if they wouldn't make it anyway. So they focused more on the subgroups of the students that they felt would make the grade and make the schools and things look good. As of now, the No Child Left Behind Act has been removed in favor of the Every Student Succeeds Act signed by Obama in 2010. However, there are still grandfather consequences that are built into many of the school districts around the country. So, for example, they could apply for waivers at that time for their schools, but they still had to show that they were going to meet certain standards. So that's where you get the Common Core and all that good stuff from. But by understanding the structure of these laws regarding education, the pros can be emphasized, the cons can be minimized, and that will allow this generation of students to hopefully achieve the best education that they can.